You're watching Metallical Mania. And I'm back with another album review. Um, as you can see, the title of this album review, it is Bullet For My Valentine, one of my favorite bands of all time, and one of my favorites in the metalcore genre, or the modern metal section. Um, yeah, they have six good studio albums and one album that I don't like at all. I recorded this video before, and some scammer called me and completely kicked the video off. And well, I have no editing software, so I have to redo the whole video. So bear with me. Go through number 7, Gravity, or the worst Bullet for My Valentine album. It's along the lines of like modern Linkin Park and like Imagine Dragons, and I can tell you that I just don't like this album at all. There's like two songs on here that are decent, Leap of Faith and Don't Need You. The rest of the album is just skippable. Um this album, when this album came out, I was like absolutely pissed when this album came out. I did not like this album from the first and I really don't shit on albums unless it's a ranking and it's like the whole discography. And this is one of those instances. I would not want to talk about this album, but I have to. I'm forced to because of the album review and the ranking. So, yeah, there's nothing on here that I will go back to and listen to for fun. It's like I would have to sit here and just be bored out of my mind on this album. It's not something I'll ever listen to. Not something I'll go back to. I just don't like it. So, and then number 6 is the new self-titled 7th album, Bullet for My Valentine. The only song I really don't like on here is Bastards. It just has a rhythm that I just can't get into. It just doesn't go with the rest of the album. Can't Escape the Waves is okay. It's another song that I consider not as good, but it's there's nothing really wrong with it. Bastards is just boring almost. It's a very boring song. Um this album is along the lines of what modern metalcore would do, not the old style of Bullet for My Valentine metalcore. That and this is what Fit for a King or modern day what's that band? Shit. Uh, August Burns Red, that type of stuff. If you're into that stuff, you're into that stuff. If you're not, or not August Burns Red, what is it? Shit, I can't remember. I can't remember. It's one band that I wanted to get to. It was with, yeah, I can't remember. So yeah, was expecting it got to those hard parts and it's the end of the song expecting a breakdown. It just goes back into the same riff. That's another thing that really pisses me off. Like, I mean, I get it. It's they really don't do breakdowns at all, almost any of them except the Screaming Fire song. But yeah, this it pisses me off. It really does when it goes to the point where it's like charging up and charging up and charging up and then just goes into the fucking riff that started the song. It's like, come on. Like, that's my only gripes about this album. I still consider it like a 9.7. I take 1 point off for the false breakdowns. And yeah, and the Bastard song. The rest of the album's good with Parasite, Knives, which is really good. The one single that I seen played on like Twitch, Twitch Rocksmith. People were playing that song on Twitch Rocksmith. Um, My Rivery, No Happy Ever After. No Happy Ever After is one of my favorites on here. Um, Rainbow Veins, Shatter. Shatter is a fucking monster track. Paralyzed is a monster track, and Death by a Thousand Cuts is amazing. Yeah, just the middle of the album is just really almost filler material, and There are just too many false breakdowns. That pisses me off heavily. Is when I'm listening to something and it's like modern, like it sounds modern metalcore, and it goes to a point where it's like gonna hit a breakdown and it just doesn't. It's like pissing me off, and it did that like 5 times. The Knives and Paralyze are like the only 2 songs that have a proper breakdown on it. Yeah. And here's where the controversy comes in because, well, I have a very big controversial pick for this list at number 5. You would think it'd be Temper Temper here, but, well, I kind of have one of their classics here. Because I kind of like the more mature albums, and yeah. It's still a 10 out of 10. I still think it's a perfect album all the way through, but I think the other 4 up above it are way more mature, have way more this is more of like kill your girlfriend type high school stuff, and um when I want that stuff, I'll go to this album. But when I don't want this stuff, I won't go for some other ones, and I usually don't want that. The re-listening value is pretty good. It's a pretty good re-listening value, and every time you re-listen to it, it actually is pretty good when you re-listen to it. It's just that's what brings it down, in my opinion, for albums in general. It's still a perfect album. It's still fucking amazing, and I think it's quite a great album in general. It has some good ones like Her Voice Resides, Four Words to Choke Upon, Tears Don't Fall. Not really into that song too much. I know a lot of people are. It's probably my least favorite on here. Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow, What Can I Do? Hit the Floor. Hit the Floor is probably my all-time favorite on this album. All These Things I Hate Revolve Around Me, Room 404, The Poison. The Poison's kind of a little bit of a kind of a track that it's like Tears Don't Fall for me. 10 Years Today. 10 Years Today is a fucking awesome track. Cries in Vain. Cries in Vain is one of my favorites. Spit You Out in the End. The End's actually a pretty good ending track. And yeah, that's the reason why The Poison is at number 5. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but it's kind of my opinion, and I like the other 4 up above it better. Number 4, Temper Temper. A lot of people diss this album. A lot of people hate this album. I don't get why. There's stuff like Truth Hurts, Breaking Point. The starting song is just an absolute, just in your face, heavy as fuck to start the album. Temper Temper. That riff is amazing on that song. I listened to this album when it came out. I loved it when it came out. Everybody was shitting on it. It got negative reviews, and, well, it's kind of a one that I think is one of the best Bullet For My Valentine albums. POW, Prisoner of War. Probably one of my favorite ones on here. I kind of heard that it was about like a sleep paralysis, that type of stuff. So that's something that kind of hits with me because I've had it before and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. You wake up and you can't move with some fucking, I don't know what the fuck it is on top of you. It's fucking horrible. It's an absolute horrible thing. Yeah. Dirty Little Secret. Absolutely amazing track. Leech. Kind of underrated. If you don't like this album or don't like the song, go check it back out. You'll find it's pretty good. Dead to the World, Riot. Riot's like a 3-minute track. It's like really short, but it's like heavy as shit. Saints and Sinners, Tears Don't Fall Part 2. Better than Tears Don't Fall Part 1. Better than the first one. And Living Life on the Edge of a Knife. Overall, my 4th favorite of Bullet For My Valentine. And yeah, let's go into number 3 or top 3 with Scream, Aim, Fire. What to say about this one? It's a great follow-up to The Poison. Has good ones like Scream, Aim, Fire. If you were listening to them back in the day when this album came out, or when or 2010, 2011, you've probably seen the video for Scream Aim Fire. And yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing video. Songs like Eye of the Storm, very underrated song. You don't really hear people talk about it too much, but it's pretty good. Hearts Burst Into Fire. Probably one of my. It's really good. It's like not as good as some of the other songs like Deliver Us From Evil and Say Goodnight, Last to Know, End of Days. There's some really good ones on here. Waking the Demon, Disappear, Deliver Us From Evil, like I said before, Take It Out on Me, Say Goodnight, End of Days, Last to Know, and Forever and Always. Excuse me. Yeah. I used to really not like this album back when I started to listen to Bullet for My Valentine. I definitely would consider The Poison better than this one back when I first started listening to them. But going back into their discography a few years ago, I would consider this album like one of their top ones. Um, just because it was like the stuff that I was listening to now. Like, it's like some of the power metal and death metal and stuff that I would be listening to now, and thrash. Like that, it's more along the lines of that and less of the metalcore emo style that they were doing before the Poison. Um, yeah. Number two is Fever. Um, the album that came out a few months after I started listening to Bullet for My Valentine, and the first album that I ever listened to by the first album I've ever listened to by them. It was my favorite for a long time, but you know that one album came out. Yeah, you already know what album is number one. It's a big. The album that's number one is special to me, and well, it came out when I was first year, and I think a first year or I listened to it a lot when I was in high school, the first year of my freshman year, so it's like really quite special to me. Yeah, there's songs like Your Betrayal, absolute great live song. Probably their best live song. Never seen them live, but I've seen a lot of like concerts online from Bullet, like the ones that were posted from like Rock Ring or whatever they call it, or Whackin' or whatever the fuck they call it. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. Number two, Fever. Fever is just dirty as all shit. It's a dirty song, very dirty song. The Last Fight, absolutely fantastic song. A Place Where You Belong, Pleasure and Pain, my favorite one on here. Alone, Breaking Out, Breaking Down, Bittersweet Memories, kind of a slow. It's probably Bullet's best slow song that they've ever done. Like, there's some really good slow songs in some of their other ones, but this one is just amazing. Dignity, Begging for Mercy, another one of my favorites from Bullet for My Valentine, and Pretty on the Outside, kind of like pretty on the outside but horrible on the inside type lyrics. Cool way to end the album off. Um, yeah, so this album came out when I was just getting into the band, like 2 months. I listened to the band 2 months after that one came out, and it's always been kind of a special one to me. So I'm kind of biased on their discography. So it's my opinions. So I'm just sharing my opinions, and this is my opinions. And number one is Venom, of course. Like, this is probably their heaviest album and their most perfect album, in my opinion. It has stuff like No Way Out. No Way Out was like, everybody was like so ticked off with like Temper Temper. I wasn't. I was happy with Temper Temper. I thought Temper Temper was a fantastic album. Um, but yeah, it blew me away the first time I listened to No Way Out. I thought, what the hell is this? I haven't heard this types of screaming from Matt since the Poison. And yeah, the next song, Army of Noise. Man, this album just hits you hard, and just doesn't stop, just doesn't let up. It's just a it's an ass kicker. It's an ass kicker of an album. Worthless, probably my favorite. The whole thing of keep your apologies, you're worthless to me type song. It's very a negative song. Very negative song. Like, I mean, Bullet For My Valentine is known for their negative songs. You want to battle, here's a war. That absolute, when the you want to battle, here's a war, and then it just blast. Just absolute blast right after it. Broken. Broken is a good song. Venom, another one of the great slow songs from Bullet. The Harder the Heart, the Harder It Breaks. Skin, Hell or High Water, and Pariah. Yeah, just ass kickers. Ass kickers album. Ass kicker album. My favorite album by Bullet. Yeah, kind of getting tired. Kind of tired. It's 16 minutes for 7 albums, but yeah, this is a band that I'm more interested in than other bands that I've ranked on my channel before. So you're gonna get a very long video, long drawn out video of me talking about this album, of Bullet's albums. The longer the video goes on, the more I stumble and the more I choke on my words. But yeah. Hell or High Water is probably like my least favorite on this album, but it's still a pretty good song. Broken is kind of like a forgettable song, but still pretty good when you listen to it. I can't remember how it goes mostly. There's a lot of songs that I forgot how they go on this album, like Skin and Broken. But yeah, when I listen to it, I enjoy it all the way through, and I mostly crank it all the way up on my CD player, and yeah. So that's how I rank Bullet For My Valentine. Hope you don't hate me for putting Poison so low. Yeah, it's just not as this is in Venom's their more mature album. I think it's their most mature album that they've ever done. Hope you guys don't hate me for putting Poison too low. It was a decision because I thought it wasn't as mature as their other ones, and I really don't go back to the Poison too often when listening to Bullet. It's more like Venom and Your Fever and Scream and Fire, Temper. Those are like the 4 albums that I mostly go back to, and like the other like 3 or 2 I don't really go back to too often. Maybe the self-title will grow on me. I don't know. I definitely will probably listen to that album again in the future because it's definitely one to go back to. There's nothing really wrong with it except like I don't like that one song on there. But that's how I rank Bullet. Hope you guys liked it. Leave a follow, subscribe to the channel. Like it, and dislike it if you didn't like it. Dislike it if you really fucking hate that I put Poison so fucking low. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.